How can the Lakers turn into championship contenders this offseason? Let's get into it. Sure, you guys check out part 1 where I go into the Luka inevitable extension and how that will be signed, the contracts they have to trade, $70 million in expiring contracts and all that. Make sure you look at that, but I'll be going into vet minimum signings, possibilities, and of course, what they can do with that taxpayer mid-level exception and the NBA draft in this video. They'll have money for a taxpayer mid-level exception. The first guy that I'm assuming most contenders will look at is Bruce Brown Jr. This is a guy who had a very, I would say, disappointing year, but signed that contract that 2 years ago that was pretty substantial, I believe, with the Pacers before they moved him. And at the end of the day, he got moved a few times, Raptors, Pelicans, whatever. He is going to be a coveted piece because we've seen him be a championship role player before, specifically on the Denver Nuggets. Tim Hardaway Jr. is probably going to require too much money. Obviously, Malik Beasley will require a lot of money from the Pistons who have his bird rights. They'll be able to extend him to a big contract extension. Miles Turner, obviously the Lakers don't have enough room to sign him, and Indiana, after getting to the finals, is going to give him a bag. We know that. Malcolm Brogdon, a little older, another guy they could look at, but I don't think that's exactly what they need. Clint Capella is the guy I'm looking at. You could get him for that taxpayer mid-level exception. That would fix most of the center issues. Now, they would need depth at the center position still and would still need to make a trade for a center, but it wouldn't have to be, a Jalen Duren. It wouldn't have to be, if you have Clint Capella, maybe you can go get more of like a depth center, like a Robert Williams that can come in and play elite defense for you. Another guy they'll look at is Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Would he be interested in signing that? I don't know. I think, obviously the Timberwolves are going to look to retain him and they have his bird rights, so that makes a lot of sense with him staying put in Minnesota. Precious isn't a guy they would go after. I know he's a big, but I don't think they would go after him at all. Amir Coffey provides defense, but the Lakers were also middle of the pack in shooting. They need more shooting, and Amir Coffey, yes, he's been good on the Clippers, but we know once he gets to the Lakers, he'll forget how to shoot. Guy I'm looking at that's a perfect fit, and I've said it for years now. It's been, I think, 2 or 3 years. The Lakers should go get Gary Trent Jr. I think he's a perfect fit. He's 36+% three-point shooter and a guy that can play good enough defense, and he can create his own shot. I think he's the perfect player alongside Luka Doncic. That's where I would use the taxpayer mid-level exception, especially if you can get a center that is valuable via trade, whether it be a Nick Claxton, Onyeka Okongwu, Jalen Duren, anybody, Walker Kessler. Gary Trent's the guy I would go after for that taxpayer MLE. I'm also not opposed to bringing back Jackson Hayes on a vet minimum contract. Like, he played well with Luka Doncic. I know he was benched in the playoffs and JJ Redick and him. They had their issues, so maybe that's not a possibility, but I still like him. Other options, Alec Burks, a guy that could shoot, play well alongside Luka for that vet minimum. You could maybe get Mason Plumlee as a backup center, though he's 35. Obviously, DeAndre Jordan, I don't know how he's still in the league, but they're not going to look at him. Dinwiddie, do you get him back? He obviously had some ups and downs with the Lakers. Delon Wright is a guy that gets steals, can play guard and be a backup